Hey. Welcome back to the second part of the team analysis of the UGA. And we will just start with Luder's team of the Stockholm Charmanders. And Kev, have the word.
Yeah, the Stockholm Charmanders picked right after me. And I think they started their drafting process with Gigantamax Venusaur, which in its own already is quite a strong pick, if you ask me. It gets, what's it called again? G-Max...
Vinelash.
Vinelash? Yeah, exactly. Which is basically the same as G-Max Cannonade, G-Max Volcalith, and so on and so on. It just doesn't hit the grass types, which is fine, I guess, but still deals this 1/6 residual damage every turn to both Pokemon. That's super strong. And he kept on going strong with, I think, Charizard and Torkoal in the next two picks, which immediately rounded up his Sun Core and ensured that he has a very, very scary mode, in my opinion, right from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, also what is really strong about Venusaur, Torkoal, and Charizard is Venusaur's move does not hit grass types, but Venusaur, Torkoal, and Charizard do not care about grass types at all. They say, I welcome all of you. You don't get the 1/6 residual damage, but we will just OHKO you.
You won't get the residual damage, but you'll get the in-your-face shot.
Yeah, you just get one-potted.
Exactly.
And you never...
also really... You go ahead.
Yes, and you never can ignore a Torkoal on the field. That's a problem as well. So you have to deal with it because no one wants to take an eruption in the sun.
Yeah, that's true. And then if they lead Venusaur or Torkoal in the beginning, you kind of have to make the decision: do you want to get the sleep powder, or do you take the Venusaur off the field or the Torkoal? That's always a difficult decision. You kind of have to make the right guess in the beginning what their first move will be.
Yeah, also since Torkoal is so slow, you cannot lead weather into it. And most times you want to counter Venusaur and Charizard with Trick Room, but Torkoal covers that as well. And Torkoal is not only an eruption machine, it also can be very, very, very defensive with Body Press, Yawn, and stuff like that. Becomes really bulky, especially with max Quake support from Venusaur and Charizard. And Venusaur also can be really, really bulky if you invest it in the right way. So these two alone with Charizard is a really scary combination. But I think after that the draft becomes a little bit lackluster. Gyarados is okay, I would say. It's a water type, which he needs, in my opinion. But it's also another rock weakness, and
yeah, exactly.
Sun is already really weak to max rockfall, and with Gyarados it does not get better at all.
And just don't forget that the Venusaur, the Sun mode is cool, but if your opponent is aware of that, you can just bring a Fire type as well with him, and then he can deal with the Charizard, Torkoal, and the Venusaur. And the Gyarados doesn't like Sun for the water type moves. So,
well, it's not that simple. If you go with a fire type, which is not Charizard or Rotom, you get demolished by Max Quake and Earth Power. Since Torkoal, Venusaur, and Charizard, all of them have ground options.
Yeah, that's true.
But it doesn't really mean that you just knock out your opposing team, your opposing threat of a fire type.
Yeah, that's true, but at the same time, most of the times you have to run safety goggles if you really want to hard counter that. And then you either do not deal as much damage, or you get more damage by Max Quake. And also Venusaur can just switch out into Gyarados, and you pretty much all the time have to maximum, because otherwise Venusaur will destroy you and Gyarados will just eat the hit, and Venusaur can come in late game and sweep you with its own Gigantamax. So it's not as simple.
But what is missing here, in my opinion, is a Lightning Rod Pokemon like Raichu or something like that.
Yeah, that would pair in well with the Gyarados as well.
And with the Charizard.
True, yeah, the Zard is also flying type, of course.
Mm.
Yeah, I think he has...
Helios is nice for covering water type moves or to get the solar power boost, but it's very frail as well. So it's kind of iffy in my opinion. It has a nice speed stat, that's for sure. It has nice tools, good spread options as well. It can support as well. But I think the team just loses, with every pick it loses a lot of bulk.
Yeah, I also don't like that the team has so much repeating typings. He has 2 fire types, 3 flying types, 2 normal types, 2 electric types, and that's just a little bit too much in my opinion. Also, his team just gets destroyed if Trick Room goes up and Torkoal. If Trick Room goes up and Torkoal gets covered, then he has nothing to work into Trick Room. I think Magnezone is okay, but Magnezone does not do as much damage.
As well, if you combine it with the Sun Core, it's a little bit tricky. And what I don't like, I have to say that, is that his Trick Room Pokemon is Galarian Rapidash, which itself is very fast.
And Gothorita. He switched Mienshao to Gothorita.
Oh, he made a swap. That's interesting.
He had Mienshao. He had Mienshao, which I think was a really good pick because it covers rock types, it has White Guard, it has Fake Out, it cannot be faked out. And then he was like, okay, I have one Pokemon which deals with my biggest weakness, which is rock, and let me switch it to Gothorita, which can trap opponents, but you can also, same as for the Sun mode, you can prepare for trapping really well, and Gothorita does not provide as much utility to the team other than trapping, because Fake Out, Mienshao has also Fake Out, Helping Hand, Mienshao has also Helping Hand, and the Trick Room is not really as helpful for the team, since most of the time you want to work outside of Trick Room.
And you lose the White Guard ability there, so the White Guard option, which would fit very well in the team in my opinion.
And wasn't Mienshao also the only Fake Out user, if I'm not completely mistaken?
Yeah, it was. I always think Helios gets Fake Out, but it doesn't.
Yeah, what I do like about the team, however, is the Ditto. Ditto in itself is not necessarily the strongest pick, but it can be such a nice joker, and the mind games can just throw your opponent off, I think. Yeah, if Ditto you play that out correctly, that's quite interesting.
Yeah, Ditto basically says you cannot set up until you can be sure I did not bring Ditto.
Yeah, exactly.
And especially in a Dynamax format, that's pretty valuable. I think Ditto does not copy Dynamax unless you Dynamax itself, but you still copy the boost, which is pretty valuable.
Yeah.
It would be busted if it copies the Gigantamax form.
that would be broken.
Just start +6 Gmax Colossal. Let's go.
Yeah, that would be stupid. That would be so stupid. Especially with weakness policy Dynamax in the format. That would be absolutely stupid.
What it doesn't get here in this team is the Ninja's pick, besides the speed tiering. I don't know why he was picking that, because it doesn't fit to the team, it doesn't add something good.
Yeah, I agree. Ninja's does hurt more than it helps.
Yeah, I mean, it's disgustingly fast, but that's everything, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, there's not much for it to do.
Yeah, most of the time you want to do something like Baton Pass and stuff like that, but it only has Sword Stance to set up, and I don't see a very good Sword Stance sweeper other than Gyarados, but then both of them weak to Electric and Rock, so you can just cover that. And what else does Ninjas want to do? Nothing.
It would have been nice with the Mienshao, to be honest.
Yeah, that would be decent.
Yeah, and the Sun Core hurts the Ninjas as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, Mienshao had the option to coach the Gyarados with Assault Vest, which would have been really, really scary. and now that's also gone. And I think now, besides Gyarados, his team is pretty much all special, besides Sandslash and Gyarados and Galarian Rapidash, but Sandslash and Galarian Rapidash aren't really Pokemon. They just don't count, and Gyarados on its own cannot do the work.
Alright, let's get to the rating for the Stockholm Charmanders. Julian, what do you think?
I think if you go on a ladder with a team, you can steamroll opponents, because not everyone is prepared for Sun. But in a draft format, you won't steamroll with only Sun, because opponents can hardcore prepare for it. And I don't see this team being able to do what it wants to do every week, especially after 1 or 2 weeks when people have seen how he wants to play. And people will become better in stopping the Sun mode, so I think he will have a very hard time doing what he wants to do, and I think he has to make a lot of changes, especially in the lower tiers, to make his team work pretty well. I think right now he's forced to bring Torkoal, Charizard, Venusaur and Gyarados to pretty much every week, and that's not a good sign. So I would say his team, he started like a 5, but then hardcore dropped to a 3.
I have to agree with that. I think he only has a half draft team, in my opinion, because he just can bring one half of it to every week, in my opinion, as well. So I would, if the core wouldn't be that strong, I would go for the 2.5. But because the Sun core is that strong, I would go with the 3 as well.
Yeah, I would probably go even a bit lower here and opt for the 2, because the Sun core is really, really strong, and it looked like one of the scariest teams when we started out with the draft. But the further the picking went on, the less scary it got, especially compared to other teams. Like, if I look at other teams, they have way more scary, also secondary and maybe even tertiary modes in their teams. And this team pretty much only has the Sun mode, and now that Mian Shao also got swapped, I really have to drop my vote from a 3 to a 2 here, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, now that I think about Mian Shao not being in the team anymore, I would also say 2.5. Now that I think about it again.
Alright, then let's get to the Warrior Esports Raxus team here. The one that got presumably sniped the most throughout the whole drafting process, and I don't know yet who is going to edit this video, but whoever of the 3 of us it is, I will force you to actually just blend in all the screenshots and all the messages from Rex saying, "Oh no, I got sniped," and make a snipe counter so that everybody in the league knows how often you said that. Because I really want to know that.
No, I want to see the draft document, because I when the draft went on, I was like, did you wrote down every Pokemon in the format?
No. On every tier I picked 3 options, and I changed it every time I get sniped. And it happened again and again and again and again.
You know, Rex's tier list must have been like the Hydra from Hercules, which whenever you cut off a head, 3 new pop up.
Yeah,
exactly.
But let's start talking about the team action. I think your first pick was the Arcanine, and I really respect that, because Arcanine is such a versatile and threatening Pokemon, especially in a draft league format, I would say, because you just can't really expect what your opponent is bringing if they have Arcanine on their side. It can do really a lot of different things. And you also have quite some valuable low tier picks. I think this is actually your biggest strength in the team. You made so much value of all the T3 and T4 picks here. Let's say, for example, Thievul, which pairs incredibly well with the Lucario, your last 3 pick. And aside from pairing with Lucario, it also has so many scary options on its own. It's such a great and versatile support Pokemon. I really like that you picked that one up, especially as early in the draft as you did pick it up. I think it was like your 4th pick or whatever.
I think the third.
Yeah.
I think
See,
that as well. I think he went Arcanine in DD and then T-Volt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really surprising third pick, I guess, for everyone. I think you were the first one to pick up a T4, and you really managed to pick up a gem right there.
Yeah, normally I would say T-Volt is not really good, but within DD, it's a whole different story because it gets really fast. It has so much support options. It has beat up for 2 of his 3 with Mudstale, and also it's a mon which has fake outs. Fake tears, and it's so fast that you almost think it's prankster fake tears, so it could not work in Psychic Terrain, but it's just so fast.
It just
so
does.
It's just so fast, so you can go for a prankster fake tears in Psychic Terrain, I would say, and that's so strong, especially with DD Male and Inteleon being able to support those two is really, really strong.
Yeah, I agree, and as I said, in a draft league format, Thivo, I think, can be really valuable. And as a T4 pick, I would say it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, it's one of the best. I would have picked it if I managed to pick Psychic Terrain.
Yeah, and then the Decidueye I also really like as a low-tier pickup. I never really had it on my radar, but recently I played with this Sejun Driftblim Decidueye team, and I really like that team. And this just made me love the Decidueye. It's a really nice Pokemon, and I think we're in for some interesting surprises with that one.
The typing is super great. It's super strong typing. Also, what we did not mention, that you have a really strong Psychic core with Federine and DD and Thievul.
Yes, true.
But at the same time, you have a really strong core of Arcanine Mudstale, which can switch in and out, helping Hatterine's Weather Loaf bulk. And yeah, Inteleon also gives you really strong speed tier, and at the same time you have a really strong Trick Room mode as well, because you cannot really stop Hatterene from getting up the Trick Room, since you cannot taunt it, you cannot sleep it.
You can status it, right?
Yes.
It's always one of the threats that I always just forget about, especially now that DD Male is more prominent. Then I just kind of think, okay, nice, I can simply sleep the Hatterene, and then at the end of your turn you get the surprise where you realize, oh shit, I just forgot about its ability again, and then the Trick Room comes through. That's always a huge threat to me.
Exactly. Also, what I really like is that you changed Clovitzer to Miltank, because Clovitzer didn't give you anything, because Inteleon is just a better mon overall, and Miltank gives you the normal typing which you lacked, and also Miltank has 3 disgustingly good abilities, with Sapphire being able to switch into grass types, Thickset giving you another resist to fire and ice, and also have Scrappy, I believe.
Yeah, Scrappy.
Yeah, and Scrappy being buffed, so Miltank is also immune to Intimidate if you want so. And what I always forget is that Miltank has base 100 speed, which is really strong.
Yes. Miltank, whenever I read that Pokemon's name, gives me war flashbacks to Generation 2. That arena was just so disgustingly hard to beat for me the first time. And even nowadays, it's like the worst gym in the whole Generation 2 for me. And so Miltank actually is a great pick.
I had to do that because I think, like I said, Clovitzer doesn't add a lot to the team. I picked it very early because I needed a strong water type, but because I ended with Inteleon very late, I thought it was a good switch. Because what I thought I would like last was high HP Pokemon with a good bulk ability, and high speed tiering, so above 100 or around 100. And what I needed was a Thunder Wave Pokemon as well. A fast Thunder Waver is always a good thing in my opinion. And this is why I choose Miltank, and because I just wanted something that I could walk home with Lucario. So, so to proc a weakness policy, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, also what I really like, or what I really love, is the Unpheasant pick. Unpheasant
Exactly.
is such a strong T4 mon. It has Tailwind, and it can act like a cheap crit kiss, because it also has Super Luck, Max Airstream, and it has pretty okay coverage with Heatwave. I believe it also has special normal and special bug moves, although I'm not sure on the bug move. But fire, normal, and flying on its own is pretty good coverage, and Tailwind support in a T4 slot is really, really valuable.
Yeah. I think because of the 115 base attack, it's a very strong Pokemon as well in the tier 4. I mean, if you think about stat Giga Impact, it can do a lot of damage as well.
Yeah, definitely. Underrated pick. If I did not get Neuven, I would have picked Unpheasant as well.
And of course, let's also not forget the G-Max Smite from Hadarini, which we didn't talk about yet.
Most stupid move in the game.
If I'm honest, I just hope you're being as unlucky with the G-Max Smite as you were with the snipes in the draft process, because you said you didn't want any fairy types and you picked up that one. So
because there was any good mons left. So
no,
I, to be frankly honest, I hate to win by RNG, so I don't like to have G-Max header in there. But it is what it is.
Exactly, and I think it's a strong pick. However, it can do a lot for you without and within Gigantamax, and you know, sometimes the RNG just rolls incredibly well for you. So why not go with that mode as well from time to time?
Yeah, and
I would say. Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to add something, because I think the Hatterene plus the Vikavolt is a very strong combo, because the Hatterene has the Magic Powder move, which turns everything to a psychic type, and if you just run a Vikavolt next to it, it can change things.
Yeah, exactly. That's super strong. I did not think about it, but yeah, it's really, really good.
All right, let's conclude this team actually, because we talked for a good 10 minutes about the Warrior Esports now. Don't worry, that's absolutely fine. If I would have to give them my vote, I would rate this as a clear 5. There's a lot of strong modes hidden in this team and a lot of sneaky stuff. And you actually were my second vote in the survey that Funky sent around, so I definitely have to give you a 5 here.
Yeah, I totally agree. I would put it on the same level as Bully Blue, also 5. You have also so much modes to prepare for, and since I did not vote for myself, because that's bias. You never pick for yourself. You never vote for yourself. I don't know what position I would have voted myself, but I was like, okay, regardless, I will not vote for myself. So I believe you was first or second option for me. I don't remember quite, but definitely first or second, because I just love the team. Arcanine is super strong. Mazda is super strong. The G-Max one is super strong. You have so much speed, you can work in and outside of Trick Room. You have everything. The only thing you missed is a Dragon type. But since there aren't too many good Dragon types in the game, that's okay.
Exactly.
I would say 5 as well.
Okay.
Alright. Let's jump right over to the Leinster Lapras here. The team that changed their name because they got to pick up Gigantamax Lapras.
I always want to call them the Lannister Lapras.
the Lannisters.
Well,
I hope they are not Lannisters. I hate Lannisters.
The little one, I forgot his name. He's cool.
Oh yeah, that one is okay.
He's smart and cool.
Tyrion,
yeah.
All right, but those are not Cersei or whatever the other guy is called, the blonde brother, the older one that died in the chambers
I would
as
say
well. I hope I
Lapras
didn't.
could be a really good Cersei.
Lapras could be a nice Cersei. However, from what I've seen in their videos so far, neither Glauber nor Devin would make a good Cersei, so let's hope they are not Cersei. But actually, if Glauber and Devin, if you're watching this, I really want to see a Cersei cosplay match of you, at least one now.
Same as for Bali Blue. If you get to the playoffs, you have to do it. Okay.
Okay. Talking about the team, they got to pick up some really, really nice options here. They were also one of the teams that picked kind of in the middle of the draft, which is always hard to get good combos. But they managed to pull some off, like Lapras Alchemy, for example, is a nice option, nice support for the Lapras. Then you also have the Excelgor Palosand, Hatterini and DD Female, all that stuff. That's actually pretty impressive for if you look at their position in the draft.
Yeah, definitely. Pretty centered around the Lapras, but you have so much support options for it. Also, it's pretty hard to stop the mons from doing what they want, especially Alchemy, because you can decorate even through Max Guard.
Yeah.
And you can protect the team from sleep. And Raichu is also really, really good mon for Lapras, being able to proc weakness policy, being able to protect it, being able to provide speed control. And I think Riolo is always underrated. It does not have the best partners for coaching other than Kangaskhan, but since Kangaskhan cannot be intimidated, that's really strong on its own.
I mean, coaching could help type null as well, not to forget. It's already very bulky and you can even boost it even more. And Riolo fits very well to the Hatterini, if you think about it, right?
Yeah, Copycat Max Guard is really good.
Yeah. Because this team, what this team kind of lacks is a good speed tiering, in my opinion. It's kind of iffy, even though he has Excelgor and Hatterini on the low speed tier, but there's nothing above 100 except the Excelgor, right?
Raichu is 110.
Raichu is 110 or something, right?
Yeah, 110. But both of these mon, which are really fast, do not have the best offensive pressure.
Yeah, exactly. They can be extremely fast, but they won't necessarily do the most damage to your team. So if you have an answer for that...
For speed swap with the Raichu, this is a possibility.
Yeah, true.
That would be sneaky, yeah. And I also really like the option of Kangaskhan having some tricks in the back. I'm not gonna say it right now because maybe they want to play that out and surprise some of their opponents, but there's some really interesting tricks that you can pull off with Kangaskhan.
Yeah,
so...
I was so angry when they picked Kangaskhan because in that round I wanted to pick it as well because tier 4 pick, the only one which has fake out, which can hit ghost types. It has so many support options, and since it's a Gen 1 normal type Pokemon, it has nearly every move in the game.
Yeah.
And yeah, it also has a okay speed stat, okay offensive stat, and the defensive stats aren't really bad. And especially if you Dynamax it with Riolu, Kangaskhan can become a massive threat.
Yeah, or with the Alchemy. With decorate.
Yeah, definitely. Also, what we forgot to mention, Riolu, since it has coaching, but it has other good support moves as well. And even though Lapras and Hatterini don't get the offensive value from coaching, the defensive value is pretty good as well.
And you can proc with Bullet Punch. You can proc the weakness policy on both.
On Lapras,
not on Lapras. But Vacuum Wave, you can Vacuum Wave to Lapras.
Yes.
So,
yeah, I think there are some really interesting modes in that team.
Yeah, the only thing he lacks is something like Tailwind. He really relies on it. Or I should say, they really rely on their bulk and their Trick Room. And if you manage to outstall the Dynamax, there is not too much offensive pressure because Lapros and Polosand, which I think are the main Dynamax options besides Celerin, they really rely on their Gigantamax or Dynamax options. Outside of that, they aren't threatening too much, and I think they have a little bit too much of support mons in Didi, Riolo, Alcremie, Excelgor, and Raichu. I think they're just a little bit too much support.
They're centering around 2 cores, I think, for the most part. I mean, you can go Excelgor, Palosand as well. It's a very prominent VGC combination as well. With the Water Shuriken.
Yeah, also having the priority on it. You cannot even fake it out, if I'm correct.
Yeah, but I think you have to bring this core to the right position. You have to navigate it into the right position through the games, make it work very well. But what this team is pretty strong about is bulk, in my opinion. It's very bulky, especially if you can set up screens. You can do that with DD as well if you want to. You don't have to rely on the Lapras.
Yeah, what I would love to see is one physical threat, because Celerin, Polosand and Lapras are pretty much all special. And since the team is so bulky, something that provides heal with heal pulse or life dew. I know Lapras has life dew, but other than that, there is not as much heal as the team could need if you really want to go that bulky on the route.
Yeah, that's true. So, what would everybody's vote be for this team?
Well, I really like the shenanigans you can do with it. I really like the Lapras and so on. But as I said, from my point of view, it's a little bit too much support and a little bit too much special. So, for example, with Snar, you can pretty much stall out the Dynamax really easily. And if you fix that while also picking a little bit more faster threats, I think this team can become really scary. Right now, I think it's still scary, but not as scary as it could be. So for me, it's between 3.5 to 4, but I'm just leaning towards 3.5 because it's just a little bit too easy to counter, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would second this. For me, it's definitely also between a 3 and a 4, and I'm leaning more towards the 4 here, so I would second the choice of the 3.5. It's also, if you look at the survey that Funky made, it's also one of the teams that got 2 votes, so everybody at least had some respect for their team, and I think that definitely makes sense. They have some interesting modes, they have some interesting shenanigans to pull off, and I'm really looking forward to see the matches and see how they play it out, how they pull off the moves they have in the back, and what they all have to prepare for the matches coming in the next week.
Yeah, I think so too. I think a team with GMX Lapras is every time to respect, but I would have given it a 4 if they would have picked Talonflame nearby Lapras. But because I think Lapras and GMX Lapras and Talonflame are pretty scary, but because it's not in the team, I think I go with a 3.5 as well. Because it lacklusters a little bit of coverage, and the speed tiering is not the best in my opinion. So yeah, there is potential to improve.
Yeah, Talonflame would have been a great pick. They still can change to it since Talonflame is still in the pool.
Alright, let's see what the Bavarian Landorus has in their team.
Oh, that's a guy with a Dragapult Terrakion. As the draft started, I believe his first pick was Dragapult. And I was already like, oh my lord, I wanted to pick Dragapult because in my opinion it's just broken in a draft format, because it's just so fast and you can run nearly everything you want. You can run a special, physical, supportive, you can do everything. And since it's so fast, most of the times you can run it really, really bulky. And then I believe he picked Ninetales, and Ninetales, in my opinion, is a sleeper pick. If I didn't go with Charizard, my first plan was Blastoise, I would have picked Ninetales as well, because it's super fast. It has a Roll-Away, which is, in my opinion, one of the best moves in the game. It has this great typing, it has good support options with Icy Wind, and Blizzard Spam is also really strong every time you face it. And then he picked, I believe, Terrakion, and there I was like, oh my lord, I do not want to play versus it, because I really hate Terrapult. Terrapult is disgusting in my opinion, because you can run beat up, or you can coaching on Terrakion and coach your own Dragapult, and you cannot do anything against it, because you just cannot drop the stats on it. And Terrakion is also a pretty decent switch for Dragapult, at least for the dark attacks. And yeah, these three alone are pretty scary in my opinion. But after that, I think he disappointed me a little bit. I get the Sandslash pick, even though I do not like Sandslash, alone Sandslash. It's okay in a draft format, I would say, because not everyone has weather. But I just don't like the typing. It's just 2-4 times weaknesses. I don't get it, but okay, it can do some work. I agree with it. The Rotom pick I like as well. Rotom Wash is always a pretty strong one, but the other picks other than Drapion and Musharna aren't really as good. Flareon is just too weak, in my opinion. No? I know it can do some damage. It has Flash Fire and stuff like that, but I just never liked it. But if he surprised me with it, he can change my mind for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't see Flareon as such a strong pick as well, but we may not forget that it's also only a T4 quote unquote. So that's still okay. I think you can totally go for it. It rounds off some of the weaknesses they had before, so I kind of understand why they went for it, and it's a cheap option in that regard. And I also really like the Rotom Wash. Rotom Wash isn't as strong as it was earlier in the format, but it still can do some really interesting things. Has access to Ally Switch, Eerie Impulse, Nasty Plot, can be very hard hitting and all that stuff. So I really respect the Rotom Wash here.
Especially if you think about that you can set up the Aurora Wheel and then you have bulky Nasty Plot Rotom, which can Dynamax or not and can deal a lot of damage and pressure. And Flareon, I think in my opinion, it's a very good pick, especially for a tier 4 pick. He needs a fire type, in my opinion. You need it in a draw format more than in a VGC format, in a normal format, in my opinion. And the Flareon, not forget, has Flash Fire as well, so it's immune to fire type moves. And he has the Sandslash and Ninetales. So this covers this option as well, but it as well as Guts. And with Guts, this Pokemon does so much damage, you wouldn't even believe it.
So you're saying it's this Guts thing?
Yeah. It's nice joke, but yeah, it's true. It's true. It can sweep teams if you don't prepare for it. Never sleep on Flareon, I can tell you. And like I said, the Flash Fire ability is very cool in this team, especially if you think about the G-Max Orbeetle. So I think what I do like is, I didn't like it before, but if I think about it even more, the Lopunny pick, in my opinion, is pretty cool.
Lopunny is great.
Because it has nice speed tiering, has nice supportive options, and this Klutz ability is very interesting because you can just swap Assault Vest to a Pokemon, or just switch to route something like the eject button to a G-Max Pokemon potentially. So the Lopunny is a very cool pick in my opinion. And the
There's also a
Noctowl,
really fast fake out user.
yeah, of course. And the Noctowl is a niche pick in my opinion as well, because it's not as powerful as Sigilyph, but it has a tinted lens ability as well. So you have no free switch in for it if you play correctly, and because a long Ninetale is in there, he can just ice shot the Dragapult, of course, to proc a weakness policy, or the Noctowl to proc a weakness policy.
Yeah, and let's not forget about the option with G-Max Orbital, because the max move, I believe, sets up gravity, and then you can, if you want so, go for Hypnosis with Ninetales, which can become really scary as well. And also, what I really like is the Drapion pick. Drapion was the one I thought about a lot, because for a tier 3 pick, it's just so strong. It only has ground type as a weakness, and with the sniper ability, it just deals so much damage. It's not even... You cannot believe how strong this one can be. And it's also... I think he needed something that can do damage outside of Dynamax, because most of the times Dragapult, he does not need to Dynamax, but he really likes to. Terrakion can Dynamax as well. Orbital most of the times wants to Gigantamax. So Drapion, I think, was a really, really good pick, and it also helps in dealing with the nasty Ghost and Fairy types, which Dragapult does not like as much.
Especially if you think about the draft format, where nearly everyone is preparing with a Trick Room or a Fairy type, Drapion fits very well, I think, and has, I think, nearly never a bad matchup.
That's true, yeah. Okay. What do you think about the Bavarian Landorus in terms of a rating from 1 to 5? Rex?
I think because he has a lot of options, but he has a lot of obvious weaknesses. For example, fire types. But it has a lot of good setup modes and it's very fast. I would go for a clear 4 in my opinion. I think there is potential to improve it even more, but I think in my opinion it's a 4.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the core of Dragapult, Terrakion, Ninetales, and Rotom Wash is super strong. Dragapult and Terrakion alone have so much options, but after that the team becomes a little bit lackluster. You have the Mushana, which gives you a random Trick Room option, but you don't really have a good Trick Room sweeper other than Flareon, and Flareon is not as slow, and it's also not as bulky, so it cannot work in Trick Room as well. So yeah, you have the Trick Room option, but you don't really have a Trick Room mode. And yeah, you're also missing some typings. For example, you don't have a Grass type, although you don't really need a Grass type. It's never wrong to have it. And yeah, I just think he could have done a little bit better. Right now, I would also say it's a 4 because the core of his first picks is just so strong that you cannot go below 4, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would second this. There's a lot of scary options they have, and although they have also quite some apparent and obvious weaknesses, I feel like they have ways to cover for them. So maybe if they even get to change some of those weaknesses during the season with some switches, then I could also easily see this as a 5. But for now, it's a 4 for me.
Okay. So I believe we have done 5 more analyses right now. So I would say this was the second part.
The Merseyside Marowaks actually are still missing because we're at 4 right now. We took quite some time though.
Didn't we?
We had the Stockholm Tremendous, the Warrior Esports.
Oh yeah, right. Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah, don't worry. We can. I think we can still squeeze them in.
The Yorkshire Emperors.
The Merseyside Marowaks. It says.
Yeah.
Okay, then it's wrong in my document. Okay, I will change it. Merseyside Marowaks first. Okay.
Okay, so we just talked about the Mercy and Merriwex.
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, they got to pick up their Gigantamax pretty late in the draft, I think, if I recall correctly right now. But it's a quite scary one. It does have a very heavy grass-type weakness, but I really like the max move of Dreadnought.
Yeah, and since you picked the best grass type in the format, it's not as bad.
Exactly. We do see the regular Rillaboom on their team as well. And Rillaboom always is a big threat on its own already, with the possibility to set up terrain whenever it enters. It can pivot really well, it has the Grassy Glide access and all that stuff. That's quite a scary option already.
Yeah, also what I really like is that Rillaboom and Dreadnought both like the rain from Politoed.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Dreadnought was such a good late pick because you saw the Politoed and then you were like, okay, what's your rain mode? And then all of a sudden the Dreadnought came and I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty smart. Go.
To be honest, I also really respect the Chandelure pick here because of its Flash Fire ability, covering for the option of Rillaboom being hit by a heavy Fire-type attack before the rain was set up or something like that.
Yeah, it also works pretty well with the Escavalier, if you think about it. It protects it from Fire-type attack, it can set up Trick Room for it, and Escavalier also works really well with the Politoed. And what I really like is Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee with Rillaboom is similar to Drifblim Rillaboom. It does not have Tailwind, but Hitmonlee has coaching. And if you coach the Rillaboom, it's just really strong. And Hitmonlee is really good stat-wise, other than its pretty low physical defense. But with the Grassy Seed, it can become really bulky.
Yeah, especially he has a very good natural special bulk. Fake out as well, I think.
Yes.
What I do like as well is type-wise the combination of Rillaboom, Dreadnought, and Magneton. You can just deal with a lot of threats with those three alone. Cavalier is pretty threatening as well. He has the Gardevoir as a Trick Room option, I think. That's the
Gardevoir and Chandelure.
Chandelure and Trick Room as well. And what can be scary is a boosted Chandelure with Charger Bug.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I think offensively this team is pretty strong. I personally don't like G-Max Dreadnought because I think the max move is just waste. I think the normal Dreadnought is way better because you can just get the rain back.
Yeah, but you could not pick G-Max. You could not pick normal Dreadnought with the G-Max slot.
Yeah, I would also say regarding how far they already were with drafting the team, I really respect the Dreadnought team, the Dreadnought pick.
Yeah.
And something we didn't mention yet is the Liepard, I think. Liepard also is really nice. Kind of the bigger brother from Thievewool, and can also put in some really heavy work here with Fake Just support, Fake Out, all that stuff.
Yeah, what you also can do is copycat the Max Trick Room from Gardevoir or Chandelure. And then you have also Fake Just support for them. And what I really like, what we did not mention, is the Beartic pick, because it's Ice type, which has Swift Swim as well. So you have Swift Swim user, which can deal with Grass types pretty well. So it protects Dreadnought even more.
With 130 base attack, so it's pretty strong.
Yeah, and it has super good coverage.
Yeah, and I think the Liepard is as well cool as a pick here because you can set up rain, I think.
Yes, it can set up rain.
And sun as well if you just play sun mode with Chandelure if you want to.
Yeah, that could definitely be a nice surprise in a potential game 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Definitely see that. Alright, since we are about to hit 50 minutes, if there's nothing more to say, I would jump straight to the rating of Merseyside Marowaks here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really love the draft. The draft has everything besides Tailwind, but since you have so much fast options with the Swiftstream users and Unburdened Hitmonlee, I don't think you need Tailwind. And if you want to go the Trick Room route, you have really good options to do it. You have Dual Fake Out, you have Copycat Max Guard, and you have pretty damn good sweepers in and outside of Trick Room. You have Dreadnought and Rillaboom outside of Trick Room, and then you have Escavalier and Chandelure and Magneton inside Trick Room. And I would say that's pretty good. Typing-wise, the team has nearly everything besides Dragon, but Dragon, as I mentioned, is not as important, and there aren't as many good Dragon types. So I would say, yeah, the draft is pretty well rounded, and yeah, I would say it's nearly a 5, but right now I would say a 4.5 because I just think that Dreadnought and the other sweepers aren't as scary as the sweepers from the 5 rated teams.
Yeah, I would think so as well. I would give it a 4.5, but only because I think the sweepers are kind of weak to intimidate, in my opinion. So if you play well-rounded as an opponent with intimidate, I think you can just unarm it very, very good. But overall, I think it's well-rounded. Has a lot of cool speed modes and tricks you can play, especially with boosting stuff like Charger Bug and the Unburden ability. So it has a lot of stuff. I think 4.5. It's well deserved, I think.
Yeah, I would go with you guys there. It's a very strong 4 for me as well, and I see some interesting techniques that the Merseyside Marowaks could pull off here. A bit unfortunate for them is that their sweepers aren't as strong as they could be and aren't as strong as the ones from other teams in comparison. But if they play it out correctly, they can still march through opponents' teams pretty reliably and confident. So definitely a threat.
Yeah, one last word I want to say that they don't have the best sweepers, but at the same time they don't have a wasted pick.
Exactly.
Every mon can do pretty good work.
Yeah. And they do instant pressure. That's very important as well, I think.
All right. I'd say now we are really at the end of this part.
Yes.
So with just about 53 minutes this time, we are ending the second part. And thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in again. Definitely make sure to subscribe to the 3 channels of us and like and share this video. And see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.